Morning everybody. Today we're having a look at recurrence relations, which is just a posh way of saying the term-to-term rule. So hopefully the video just paused then, so I'm not quite sure what I said. So I was saying about the fact there's term-to-term rules, and hopefully lower down the school you remember those. So for instance, if I had a really simple sequence 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. Let's make that a better 9. The term-to-term rule will be add 2. However, add 2 wouldn't define the sequence. You'd have to say it's add 2 and the first term is equal to 1, for instance. Okay, so that's basically all we're doing today, with some fancy notation and trying to make them quite hard and involving some simultaneous equations and stuff like that. So instead of writing it like this, we're going to write it a slightly different way. We're going to say that to get to, let's do it this way. Let's make it slightly easier. So for my current term, and we're going to call my current term un, so u for I'm signifying it's a term, n is just the counter for which term I'm on, so u1 would be the first term, u2 would be the second term, u10 would be the 10th term, etc. So to get from my current term to my next term, I have to add 2. And if my current term is un, then my next term must be un plus 1, because I'm just literally having a little counter going up. So these n plus 1s and this n here, they're subscripts, okay? That's not un plus 1, it's un plus 1. If that makes sense, that's all subscript. But again, that doesn't define the sequence, that just tells me the term-to-term rule. I then also have to say afterwards that u1 is equal to 1 in this case, so not a particularly exciting one. But I could have some other slightly more interesting ones. So if I had 6, 15, 33, 69, I could also have a look at this sequence too and think about what this is, the term-to-term rule. Not immediately obvious, however, you at least know that u1 is 6. And the term-to-term rule here is going to be un plus 1. Now, sometimes it's worth just looking at what the differences are, and sometimes it can help. The difference there is 9. The difference here is going to be 18. The difference here is going to be 36. So you can just inspect it and see that it's going to be 2 lots of the previous 1 plus 3. And if you look at the differences, sometimes you'll notice that there's that factor of 2 coming in there. 2 times 9 is 18, 2 times 18 is 36. So sometimes it's worth just inspecting those differences, because it might give you a little clue to what the term-to-term rule might be. So there's something for you to, a bit of food for thought there, but generally it's just have a look and try and work it out. There are some formal ways of doing it, but the sequences you come across, we don't need to get particularly formal about this, so I'm not going to bother now. So let's just have a quick go at an example. So a sequence is defined inductively. Inductively just means that it's sort of contained within itself, I suppose. In this case, it's just term-to-term rule, as opposed to deductively, but we won't need to worry about that just now. Write down the first 6 terms of the sequence, and then find the sum of the first 6 terms as well. So the first term is 0. It says a1 is 0. And to get to the next term, I need to times by 2 and then add 1. It's going to be 1. Times by 2, add 1 is 3, I hope. Times by 2, add 1 is 7. Times by 2, add 1 is 15. Times by 2, add 1 is 31. And then if I want to find the sum from, that should say k equals 1 really, to 6 of ak, then that's going to be equal to 0 plus 1 plus 3 plus 7 plus 15 plus 31. And that is whatever it is, 10, 25, 26, what was that up to, 26, so 57. So that's a really straightforward example. What I'd like you guys to do today for some exercises are as follows. Exercise 5G, can you ever go all the questions? There's not actually that many there, there's only 7 there today. When you get onto the later ones, the ones where they've got some marks attached, they are a little bit more involved, and you need to try and think about how you can write things down as well as possible. If you need a little bit of extra help, example 20 on page whatever it is, 79, might point you in the right direction if you're a little bit unconfident about it. With question 5, you're just going to be setting up a series of equations, so just make sure you write it all out is my advice for it. If you follow your nose with this sort of stuff, you'll generally suddenly see, oh, I've got this stuff in front of me, I can now do the question. If you stare at it and don't write anything down, it seems a lot harder than it is. Okay, so a really short lesson today, and it will be another short lesson tomorrow as well. I'm just looking at a bit more of this stuff. And then we've just got modelling with series to do and a topic test, and we've finished sequences series. Have a lovely day, and I'll speak to you guys again soon. Bye bye.